What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the RPS Swing for the Fences show. I'm back. I'm your host, JSU, here for double duty today. Did the NBA show earlier, and now I got the MLB show. And I'm bringing in two new guys for the MLB show. Big T, what's up, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a show with the two of you since we've started. Probably you guys have been hosting. Now you're on the same show. We're going to pick some winners tonight, too. I like this slate. And we got some NBA tonight. It's just nice having these sports back. We got tons of options. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, me and Mangone definitely. We haven't been on a show in a while because we're always hosting. But Mangone, what's up, man? We got the cash side.
Yeah, man. Excited to talk about the cash game stuff. Obviously, I'll be doing the core plays for MLB. I definitely got to crank those tiers out too. Big T, I'll crank the tiers out throughout the show, and I'll get them up and everything. But I'm excited. MLB's been good to me. I had a nice little sweat yesterday. It was fun, and excited to be on the show with you guys because JSU, you and I don't get to get on too much because we're always hosting. And we got Tony here to rile everyone up. And Tony, we got to talk about the Bucks losing to the Nets, right? I mean, come on, that was pure gold today, right?
I mean, we're not allowed to talk about it when nobody plays in the game.
Oh, I mean, either way, I was excited about seeing it. I don't know if you saw. Garrett Temple said that the Rockets gave them tips on how to win, so I thought that was funny.
I do like the playful banter back and forth. Like he said that just to tilt them, knowing that it would tilt them, but I like it.
All right, well, boys, this is a baseball show. We're gonna get to the baseball winners, but first, like the show, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't, and then if you haven't got over to Run Pure Sports, get over there. We got our guy Uncle T who just finished up the playbook. He was on the playbook all day. He got that up. We got our tier section, the cores for cash, which Mangone's doing, GPP cores, which is Big T and JT Hayes and Titletown and all these guys, me some days. So get over there, check it out if you haven't. $20 if you want to just join up for a week and see what it's all about. And if you want to sign up for the whole month, join the movement is the promo code, gives you 20% off. So get over there, check it out. Promo code join the movement. But boys, let's get into this slate. Let's start with the pitchers. And then we'll get into the hitters. So starting off at the top, we've got Patrick Corbin, Big T's boy Lance Lynn, Dennis Lamet, Giolito are like the four top guys. We'll say 9K and up is the range we're looking at right now. And Mangone, I'm going to bring it to you first. So from a cash side, what are you thinking here in terms of these top pitchers?
Yeah, so I'm still kind of figuring out this top end range and how I want to approach it. I think the two guys I'd be looking at the most are probably Lance Lynn and maybe Lamet, but I just think the matchup's too hard. So I'll probably stay away. I think he has strikeout upside. But I think Lance Lynn is clearly the guy for me in this range. If I had to pick one, I'd be going with Lance Lynn. I just think the upside against an Oakland team that has a lot of power righties. Obviously they can try and get lefty heavy as best as they can. They always try to, but their righties are way stronger than their lefties. So I think Lance Lynn makes sense. And I mean, he's been absolutely crushing. If you look at his K prop too, I mean, he has a 7.5 K prop and it's juiced on the over. That was something that was alarming to me. And I'll admit, like, he wasn't one of my core play pitchers. I only had one in so far. And he might be sneaking in to becoming my core play pitcher on the slate. I'm still not sure. Still kind of deciding between everything. If you want to get that, you can check it out on the site. But I think he's a strong play. He gets, like I said, he gets a good Oakland team that strikes out a ton. So I think Lynn is probably my best option in this range. Corbin, I'm not really high on here in this spot. I think some of those Mets righties can cause him fits. I think he's a really good pitcher and probably a great tournament option if you want to spend up, but I want to get some bats in my lineups too. And then Giolito, we know how talented he is, but I don't know. I'm just not kind of gravitating towards him today here in this spot. So yeah, that's kind of my breakdown. I think it's really Lance Lynn is my cash game guy if I pick anyone in the top end range.
Yeah, all right, I like it. So Lance Lynn's your favorite. Tony, I mean, you are the Lance Lynn homer right here, or guru, whatever you want to call it. You picked Lance Lynn. Well, it was one of the first slates. It was one of the first shows we did, and he had a really good day. What are you thinking with Lance Lynn and anyone else in this top range for tournaments?
Yeah, I think Lance Lynn is a lock for me. I mean, he's thrown 108 and 102 pitches the first two starts, which is just massive. I mean, the issue we've had with a lot of pitchers is pitch counts early on because it's like spring training almost. And massive pitches. He's gone off both games, nine Ks, 8 Ks on the Draftkings, kind of like Mangone said, 7.5 to the over with the K prop. On DK right now, it's 8.5 with juice on the under. So they're basically giving him 8 Ks tonight across the books. And if you give me 8 Ks and a big pitch count against a team that I don't like all that much, Oakland, like if you followed me on the bet side, now that we got Run Pure Bets up, I've gone against Oakland like every night since baseball started. It's been super profitable. They went off last night, so maybe they broke the valve a little bit, but I'm going to come right back against them. I'm going to take Texas tonight on the bet side. And Lynn is definitely my favorite pitcher of the night. And you go to the other ones at the top. Corbin, I'm not going to play. Well, first of all, I don't really want to play two stud pitchers right now anyways because I want to get some bats in there. Makes it tough to play two. And since I'm so high on Lynn, definitely not going to play Corbin. Definitely not going to play Lamet just because two pretty tough spots for them. Giolito, you could play Giolito, but again, I'd rather get some bats in there than stay up in that range. I think it's pretty simple, cut and dry for me at the top. I'm playing Lance Lynn.
All right, I like it. Yeah, I like some Lance Lynn tonight. Let's get into this next range, this 8K range, where I see a few names that I know I'm going to like, and I'm definitely going to roster. I think for my GPP build tonight, it's definitely going to be two pitchers, probably in this range, honestly. But Tony, I'm going to actually start back with you. We got Woodruff, we've got Marquez, we've got Heaney, Shoemaker. I'll throw Hendricks in there, and Max Fried. Talk about these pitchers. I think Marquez is really interesting. He's someone who has a lot of upside, strikeout upside, ton of talent. Yeah, it's in cores, but hopefully that just keeps his ownership somewhat down, right?
Yeah, it should keep it down. It's a tough spot for me just because this range is pretty good too, where I like a lot of these pitchers. I mean, Woodruff has been incredible so far. 10 Ks last time out. I do worry a little bit about his pitch count. I mean, he went 85 and 92. He just usually doesn't go super deep. Maybe you give him 90 pitches. I didn't see his K props under on 6.5. So decent size K prop. Definitely like him. I mean, I think Heaney will be somewhat popular just because 20-25% range, just because people pick against Seattle every single day with pitchers. Fried, I probably won't play Fried, but I think he's a decent option too. Honestly, tonight, pitching, it's crazy how these slates so far, there's either tons of pitchers or no pitchers because they're just on the same days right now. But tons of these guys in here are great options. I'm not going to play Shoemaker. So Hendricks is kind of the interesting one for me. I think he's going to be, I mean, Mangone will attest to this better because he's more of the chalk type guy. But Hendricks has to be one of the highest owned, if not the highest owned pitchers on the slate. But he's 7,700 going against the freaking Royals. So let me look. He went 103 pitches and then 85. He obviously threw a gem, came back and got shellacked by the Reds. I just don't like Kyle Hendricks as chalk. So I'm going to be interested when we get to Mangone's spot where we kind of talk about the cash guys, because I hate playing a guy like Hendricks that's chalk. I know the wind in Wrigley. I know everything that comes with it, but he is cheap. I don't know. I'm interested to hear Mangone there, but a direct pivot for me is this Luzardo dude, who I'm super excited that he's the same price, basically 100 cheaper than Hendricks. I remember this guy from last year playing him out of the bullpen actually on some showdown slates where I just knew he had K upside. Again, I'm not a numbers guy, like I've said on 1,000 of these shows. I have no idea what his K rate is. I haven't looked at it. I don't really care. I just remember in my head that he's a K guy. I think he has K upside. I love the matchup. I always talk about this, Oakland, Texas. I think it's going to be a pitching matchup. I like the under in that spot. And I don't mind playing him alongside Lance Lynn, going both sides. Perfect pivot off the chalk, Hendricks. I think that's kind of my guy there. And, I mean, you can take it even further down. There's a ton of guys in this range. Brady Singer looked decent. He's in that same Cubs game. Dustin May has been touted as a pretty good guy. I'm interested to hear what Mangone has to say about Hendricks, though.
Yeah, I mean, folks, if you trust Tony's head, then Luzardo might
I could be completely
guy,
wrong, but I'm sure he's.
Mangone, why don't you talk about what's in your head here? Let's hear this range.
Mangone's a stat guy. It's whatever the stats are in his head.
No, all right. So let me talk to you about this spot. Like Kyle Hendrick, I like him in this spot. I think he's going to be chalk, Tony. But like you're right on the money. Like, are we really going to play chalk Kyle Hendricks on a slate that like has some pretty good pivots? Like Tony, I think you're right on the money. I think I like your pivot ideas. I like the idea of pivoting to a guy like a Woodruff. I think that there's a lot of upside for him. I think he could be your SP2 option, right? So I think he's a pretty good play. If you look at some of the other guys in the range, right, there's one more here. Heaney, right? Yeah, Heaney's been great. He gets Seattle, who strikes out a ton, man. Like Seattle really can strike out with the best of them. So those two are absolutely great pivots there that you can go and look at. Hendricks, he's a chalk option and for good reason. And I do like him. I'm still going back and forth on how I want to approach him. I think on DraftKings, he makes more sense as like an SP1 or an SP2 because you have to play two pitchers there. But on FanDuel, it's a little more difficult because, again, you got Lance Lynn for 1,000 more, and there's other options that you can easily go to. So, like I said, I like Hendricks. Like I said, the matchup against the Royals, it's really, really, bad. And on top of that, have we really seen a total at like the number that it's at today for the Royals side of the ball? I mean, their team total is at 3 on the dot. That's really low. It's kind of me just wanting to trust Vegas. The strikeouts, it's juiced on the over at 4.5. I'm not saying Kyle Hendricks is going to go out there and throw, 9 strikeouts. That's just not the guy he is. But is he a high floor guy in this spot? I really think he is. And sure, he got crushed by the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, he got destroyed. But that was in a, Great American Small Park, and it's called Great American Small Park as the nickname for a reason. It was also hot that day. I remember it. And I just think Hendricks in this spot with the wind blowing in, the weather so good, I think he matches up really well. He's one of my favorite pitchers at the moment, I'd say. But I like what Tony said about those pivots. I mean, this Luzardo guy grades out pretty well. And not only does he grade out well, I mean, Texas, they'll put out some really bad lineups. And I mean, some bad lineups sometimes. I'll pull up to see what their lineup is right now and just kind of look at the Ks, but it's probably really rough at what they got there. I mean, all the K percentages I'm looking at right now, you got guys over, 23%, 27%, 35%, 30%. A lot of strikeouts are normally in that lineup. And it's probably less strikeouts than normal from what I'm looking at, but you never know. Texas can roll out a really, really bad lineup sometimes. So definitely check that out when you're making that final decision there. But Hendricks, he seems like a really good cash guy. And then I'd probably say Heaney and Woodruff is like 2 and 3 for me. I don't know which order I'd put them in, but I like the call by Tony. He'd probably be my 4th best guy in this range. Jesus, I'd probably go to him as my 4th favorite.
All right. So you like Jesus a little bit, but Hendricks is obviously your favorite for cash, correct?
Yeah, no doubt. And it's a loaded range. And again, that's why, like, Jason, you play tournaments too. I mean, that pivot on the Hendricks chalk, I think it makes a ton of sense, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, coming into the show, I mean, I give I looked at Woodruff, I looked at Marquez, I looked at that Luzardo, the Jesus guy from Oakland. I mean, and then I saw Heaney playing Seattle, and like Tony said, everyone's playing pitchers against Seattle right now, so he's definitely going to be popular. And then I saw Kyle Hendricks. I mean, that's going to be the pairing, right? Like, or it's going to be Lance Lynn and one of those two. But like, that's definitely going to be the chalk way to go. Those 3 pitchers somehow paired. Either the 2 mid-range guys or the Lance Lynn at the top, and then one of those 2, whoever your favorite is. But yeah, so I mean, even if you loved Hendricks, just making a pivot from either Lance Lynn or Heaney is another way to go. Like, let's say you love Hendricks today. You're like, no way I'm fading Hendricks. That's fine. Play Woodruff or Marquez or, Luzardo instead of as your SP2, like in tournaments. So like, that's fine. You can play Lance Lynn, whatever it is. But for tournaments, I'm definitely going to play one of these pivots, if not 2, because I think they there's easily two guys who have big upside and can match whatever Hendricks does.
Yeah, and one last thing I want to mention, JSU, and it kind of goes off of an NBA question someone asked me. They said, hey, I think someone played DeLon Wright in cash when they got the Mavericks news, and DeLon Wright, it sounded like, was pretty terrible. I don't know if he came in and salvaged, but he was basically saying, should I make a pivot now? And one thing that you should look at is if you kind of see ownership, and let's say you have a good idea that Heaney's going to be a high owned option, and you're on Andrew Heaney as one of your guys, Heaney's the chalk. Right? Let's say he is. I don't know if he is right now, but let's say he's going to be a 50% owned option. If you think you're behind and you need to make a pivot, go to Jesus Luzardo. Those are 10 o'clock games. And by, 9:30, 9:50, you can have an idea of where you're cashing. Sometimes you can kind of galaxy brain yourself and just totally make a mistake. But sometimes it's you're just absolutely dead and you need to make that move. So that's a little game theory in cash games I wanted to mention here with a pretty good option that I realized.
And that makes sense because if let's say Kyle Hendricks goes out and he gets shelled and you paired him with, Heaney, if you just pivot to Luzardo and somehow Heaney ends up, getting pulled early because he's not doing well or gets shelled and Luzardo does well, then you kind of made back some of the space in cash games. So that does make sense. But let's move on, guys. I think we covered most of the pitchers. Big T, is there anyone we forgot?
No, I'm looking at the bottom. I don't really see a ton at the bottom. I think some people could go down low just to get some bats. The only guy that kind of I would think about playing is this Justin Dunn guy from Seattle just because of his price. He's $4,900 on DraftKings. I think he can get you double-digit points. I don't see that big of a ceiling. If you want to get Coors bats and big bats in there, I don't completely hate it, but I'd much rather on a night with pitching this deep. I think there's some upside at pitcher. I am going to choose pitchers tonight more than likely because I think we're going to see a couple pitchers get maybe even into the 30s fantasy point wise. That's how good I think pitcher is in that middle to high range.
All right. I like that. So let's move on, guys. We're going to go game by game and talk about these hitters and who we like in our stacks. So we're going to start out with the New York Mets versus Washington Nationals. Tony, let's start with you here. What are you thinking for this game? Do you like any of these teams, or is this a side where you're going to stay away?
Yeah, so you got a couple pretty good lefties on the hill, especially Corbin. Just looking at this Nats lineup, man, it is not great. They're projected 4.8 implied runs. I just don't like much about it. I like playing as Drupal Cabrera against righties. I don't necessarily like playing him against lefties. That's where it's at. In the Mets lineup, I like Pete Alonso, but I don't want to pay that price against Corbin on this slate. If Dozier makes the lineup and Ramos, that's a super sneaky two low-owned guys that I don't hate. But this game does look like a stay away from me. Maybe that's the type of team. If I had a super chalky team and I wanted to play two random, like just an off the wall 2-man to go with it to be low owned, I'd play Dozier and Ramos with it and just know that they're going to be super low owned with the ability to beat up a lefty a little bit.
All right. So Tony doesn't really like this game, Mangone. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm torn on this game. I do think the Nationals bats are quite interesting, right? You get them against Steven Matz, who, he struggles against lefties or he struggles against, right-handed hitters. And that's some of the better Nationals players are their righties. That's one thing I like to look at here. We got Howie Kendrick, who we know can hit a lefty pretty well. Trey Turner can obviously hit lefties better. And the one thing about Trey Turner is his steal upside is so great, right? And it's awesome against Steven Matz because Steven Matz cannot hold runners on. People always think lefties can, but Steven Matz struggles with that. So I think Trey Turner is a really good cash game option. And I also think there's a ton of upside for this Nationals lineup. It's a way better hitter's park than people imagine. The wind's blowing out 10 miles an hour. It's 81 degrees. And if you look throughout the league today, there aren't really these high temperature games. So I don't know. I kind of like this Nationals offense a little bit. I'll definitely get some. I'm going to look to get exposure into cash games. It's not the easiest to get them. I'm not prioritizing them, but I think they're in play there. And I think they're a really good tournament stack.
All right, Mangone, stay right here because we're going to bring it to the Toronto versus Atlanta game. I want you to talk about this game and any side you like, interesting. I think there's a couple bats on the Toronto side that looks a little good to me against the lefty, but talk about this.
Yeah, so like the Blue Jays team, they're naturally a team that you want to target whenever they're going against a lefty because they have all these like really good right-handed hitters. They got Gurriel, Hernandez, Vlad Guerrero, or Grichuk. These are all like lefty mashers. I'm sure Tony loves these Blue Jays when they're against a bad lefty. But the problem is Max Fried is not a bad lefty. That's my one problem here in this spot. So I'm not super excited about the Blue Jays, but I do think they're young, they're talented, they can obviously pop off. But I'm not really touching the Blue Jays too much. And on the opposite side, the Braves, like Shoemaker, he's had some pretty good numbers. I think the Braves, they have a decent implied total, higher than I would think it would be based on, some of Shoemaker's numbers. But ultimately, I'm not in love with this game. I think you can take some stabs at it, but it's not my favorite spot on the slate.
All right, so Mangone might take a stab at this game, but Tony, what are you thinking? Do you like this game? Do you like any side in particular if you do like this game?
I mean, I just got distracted here because friggin' Luka's got 83.
He does. I told you he had a triple-double almost
that
going into the third.
just distracted me a little bit. I saw an 83 piece on his column.
Well, that's not good. I don't have him tonight.
I will say I have Robin Lopez in cash, and I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. But Luka, at only 40% can carry me to the promised land. So pick Robin Lopez and put him on your back.
Whoo. That's a big one there. Too bad I got him on my Trey Burke team, but kind of like with Lopez, the 83 will balance things out a little bit.
That'll help.
Whew. Okay, yeah. So Toronto, I agree. Fried's solid, but you look at this. I'm never scared to go against these decent pitchers. Like it's a small total, only 3.6 implied. But you look at this lineup. You're in a good park. It's 81 degrees. It doesn't look super, super hot in Atlanta, but it's always going to be a decent park. And you look at the lineup, though, kind of like Mangone was talking about. I love lineups like this. Bichette, Teoscar, Gurriel, Vladdy, Grichuk, even like Jansen and Drury. Alford, like you kind of called it. I like teams like this that are going to be low-owned on top of it. This is where I like to target baseball. I don't want to play chalky offenses in baseball just because of the variance. And I do like Toronto. I got to admit, like he kind of called his shot with me. I don't think people are going to play it. I love this lineup. On top of it, you can get a few of them under 4K. Teoscar, Grichuk, but it's more of an ownership play than anything. Because if these guys were really cheap, I think they'd get more ownership just because just how the way the roster constructions come together. And I'm not scared to go down there and get a guy like Drury and Jansen, though, in the low 3Ks to make things work. I definitely like it. And Shoemaker, I keep playing this Atlanta team, trying to make it happen where they explode ever since that night. They just haven't. But, man, I do kind of like this spot again tonight. Freeman and Acuna, Swanson, Adams. It is annoying on like DraftKings. Obviously, FanDuel, you can play 2 first basemen. Drives me nuts. I keep stacking Atlanta, and I always want to play Adams. But, man, I can't. If I'm stacking Atlanta, I have to play Freeman. Like, I can't not play free money Freeman, which is annoying because Adams is a great play too. So, like on FanDuel, I would just play both of them, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know. I like this game a decent amount. There's some other spots we're going to get to that are good, but I think this Atlanta game may be one of the sneakier ones because I don't think it's going to get very much ownership tonight.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So I'm glad that we're on the same page there. But let's move on. We got Miami versus Baltimore. Mangone, we'll start with you. What are you liking from this game, if anything?
Yeah, this is really just not a game I'm in love with. I just don't know where to go. I will say, like, if there is a spot that, maybe the Marlins can kind of get going or the Orioles for that matter, it's against like, one of these opposite teams because there's not a great pitcher on the other side. So I don't know. This game just feels like a complete stay away. Cash games and even tournaments, I'm just not certainly in love with it. I guess maybe if you do like the double spend up pitcher, maybe one of these stacks could come and play because they're, because they're just like really, inexpensive. And then maybe you can pair it up with like another, some high end bats. But I don't know. This game for me, I just feel like I don't have a good pulse on it. And I'm just staying away in cash games. And I think in tournaments as well.
All right. This is a stay away for Mangone. Tony, what do you think?
So I really want to see. So I saw something about it. It's delayed because of the COVID test or something. Mangone's always he's the best at this news. But so what's the deal, Mangone? They're for sure playing. Wait, so we haven't seen Miami much, right? Like we haven't seen them since the COVID thing, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen them in a while.
Since the 26th, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
so what's this delay about? Like they're for sure playing, right?
Yeah, they're expected to. Yeah, it says so. It's there might be a delay based on it says Orioles and Marlins may be delayed due to a coronavirus test results. So, like if there's like some like weird results, then it could get delayed a bit and they could like move some stuff around. But yeah, it sounds like it's fully expected to play. I'm not worried. If anything happens, we'll definitely notify you guys in the Discord chat, no doubt. But I'm not expecting.
AP says AP's in the chat says game just cleared like a minute ago, so that's good news. Man, so this is going to be where one of my hot takes is again, this is why I like baseball because I can get different. It just suits my playing style where I'm not afraid to do some different things. I like Miami a ton. You look at this lineup against a lefty. If I get this lineup, like who knows what they're going to roll out. But the lineup I'm looking at that's projected, it's got Jesus Aguilar in the 4-hole, Brian Anderson in the 5-hole, Cervelli in the 6, Sean Rod, my lefty masher, in the 7, Brinson, who's awful but cheap, in the 8. I like if I get those 5 in a row at cheap prices to where I can play 2 good pitchers, I really, in this park too, I really like Miami. Again, hopefully by the end of this show, we'll have a lineup for Miami because we haven't seen them in a freaking week. So, I mean, who knows what they're going to roll out. But if I get at least 3 or 4 of these guys, mainly Sean Rod, Brian Anderson, and Aguilar, I mean, I'm all about Miami, and I don't think people are going to play them because they have no idea what's going on. Great park, lefty matchup against, I don't think Means is any good. I like it. I don't like the Baltimore side as much. If I was going to play, yeah, I'm off the Baltimore side. It's just Miami for me in this one. But again, kind of like the last game where I talked about Toronto and even Atlanta, I'm going to be on some low-owned stuff tonight because I kind of like some weird teams.
Yeah, I mean that's good for tournaments, so I like hearing that. But let's move on, guys.
I think they win too, by the way. Like I'm putting that on the bet side right now. Like,
well, they've been rested for like a week. They should win.
What's our current line right now?
They're dogs. Listen, I like that take, Tony. I mean, they're +1. I think +115 on them.
116 on DK. I'm putting it right now on the bet side. It's going live for whoever's watching it. You get a free play from Big T.
And our guy Steve Anthony in the chat said Baltimore bullpen is trash. I mean, he's right. Like their bullpen is terrible. So it doesn't matter who they bring it. Like they're just not a good pitching staff. So I mean, yeah, I think the stacking up Miami is actually pretty sharp in tournaments. I like it. Tony, you got your bet in? You good to go?
Oh, let's go. It just went in. Yeah, free play for the
So
YouTube
we're
chat.
We're good to move on. So White Sox versus Milwaukee Brewers. Mangone, let's start with you. What do you like from this game?
Yeah, so this game, obviously, like a guy like a Woodruff, he's not someone I'm going to look to target. I get it, the whitey, but I don't think this is the ideal spot for this offense. So cash games, no way. Tournaments too, I'm going to pass on them. I just don't think it's too necessary at all. If you look at Giolito too, again, another pitcher I don't really want to target. Yelich has also been terrible. I mean, I can't even stomach playing him right now. And just his whole Brewers team, more than these guys. It's just not the greatest spot in my opinion.
All right. Anything else? Can we move on? Good.
No, I mean, I think you should always these are the spots I like to play. Moncada is the only thing. Like as a total +1 play. I don't like the stacks. I think both pitchers are good, but these are the +1 plays I love. Like no one's going to play Moncada as a +1 against Woodruff. So if I really like a stack, I love playing Moncada as a +1. He's got power, he's got speed, and he's going to be low owned. So I just have to mention that. I definitely don't like the stack. I even like Woodruff. So on my non-Woodruff teams, I definitely want some Moncada.
Yeah, for sure. Moncada is definitely in play. He's so good. But guys, make sure you hit that like button. Helps us out, helps us keep pumping out this free content. So hit that like button. Let's get to 100. Let's get over 100. We'll give out some swag if we get over 100. So let's get that likes up to 100. But let's move on. We've got KC versus Chicago Cubs. Tony, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you like?
Yeah, so the wind's blowing in, kind of like we talked about. I like both pitchers. Hendricks is going to be chalky, but he's a solid pitcher, so I'm obviously not going to stack against them or play hitters against them with the wind blowing in. And Singer's supposed to be a pretty decent arm too, so I'm not going to play the Cubs. There's zero chance I play any bats in this game. It's just an easy stay away from me.
Mangone, do you agree with Tony? Is it an easy stay away for you?
Yeah, I don't even know what game you talked about because Jimmy Butler's randomly questionable. Again, I know this is an MLB show, but we all might have to make some pivots here and there. So, and I wanted to mention it for the people in the chat as well.
Jimmy Butler had to be super high on today too, right?
On DK, super cheap.
I faded him, so I'm sitting there.
And Tyler Harrow was 3K, so he becomes in play. Again, I'm not trying to derail the show completely. I want to help you guys out, and I want to help the subscribers out too. I want to tell them. So I'm going to head in the Discord chat actually right now and just make sure they know that Butler just got ruled questionable. Yes, people are seeing it now. So, yeah, it could be. I don't know.
What time's that game, Mangone?
I'm going to check right now, actually. I'm hoping it's not the 6 o'clock game. That would be a disaster.
Probably is.
Oh, no doubt. I'm checking right now real quick.
That game's at 6:30, Mangone, by the way.
So we got a little bit of time.
So you got
okay. Perfect.
It says he's out, though. He's out now, it says.
Yeah, but the thing is, I will say Orlando and Indiana is the 6 o'clock game. So the thing is, if you want to make pivots, Malcolm Brogdon's a guy who don't get me wrong, but maybe I want to move down to a Tyler Harrow right now and give myself the ability to get up to someone else. I don't know. So again, I'm not trying to derail the show completely, but I'm just trying to talk it out and make sure people who have him in their lineups to move it. Someone just said Butler's out now officially. Yeah, Butler is out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was Tony. That was Tony
sorry.
20 seconds ago.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm just trying to break it all down and figure it out myself. I'm not even listening to Tony right now, but yeah, Tony, that's a good call on Butler, and we got to adjust our lineups as we're doing it on the fly, and you guys do that too, and we'll obviously keep breaking down the MLB at the same time.
Yeah, we got.
So Mangone agrees that it's a stay away. I'm just going to take that for what it's worth, and let's move on. We've got San Francisco. I'm sorry. San Francisco versus Colorado. Good Coors game. Tony, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so Coors, standard stuff here. I think it's going to be pretty high owned, and I just keep fading Coors. They had a good night last night, but especially tonight, I think these pitchers are pretty good. I mean, Herman Marquez is obviously good, so I'm definitely not playing the Giants against them. And Gausman, I think Gausman is decent enough against this lineup. I mean, they got Matt Kemp in there, Chris Owings, Tony Walters. I don't like this chalk Rockies lineup. Sure, I like David Dahl, I like Blackman, I like Story, I like Arenado, I like the four beasts for sure. But I mean, they're going to be chalky. It's Coors. I don't have to play Coors. I like some of these lower owned stacks. Sure, I mean, you can play Coors anytime. I'm probably going to say the same thing about Coors almost every time we do a show. Either fade it or play it. I mean, it's Coors. You got to take your game theory into account. It is what it is. It's the same as always. It's obviously the highest upside spot, but it's going to be the highest owned, and I don't like it all that much. I like the pitchers more than the hitters in this spot.
Yeah. Okay. So Tony doesn't like Coors. Mangone, I know for a fact you're going to like Coors, right? You don't have a different opinion. You have to have a different opinion on this game.
Yeah, of course I like Coors. I mean, you just have to like Coors in this spot. I mean, the reason why I'll tell you, Tony, why I like Coors and why I think you have to go to that spot is look at the weather all around the league, Tony. Okay, look at some of these spots. I don't like a lot, right? You like the pitching, and this is a spot where I just think the chalk is going to be really, really good. I felt that way yesterday. I feel that way today as well. So, yeah, I'm going to be in on Coors. I'm definitely going to load up, and it's mainly going to be on the Rocky side is my favorite spot if I had to pick. You got David Dahl, Trevor Story, Blackman, Arenado, all the guys at the top. I really like Blackman and Story. Those are two of my favorites. Arenado's another great one. Dahl's good too. But one guy, you kind of mentioned that you didn't like Tony, but if you look at some of the pitch types he throws, Matt Kemp, I think, grades out really, really strong here. So Matt Kemp, I think I'm going to go to here against Gausman. I think he's a guy that you can get for cheaper that I kind of like a little bit. So, all in all, I'm going to play this Rockies team at
You like
6.71
Matt
total.
Kemp?
Yeah, I like Matt Kemp in this spot, man. I think he's primed for a pretty good opportunity here to hit one out. So maybe I'll make that my home run call, Tony. You got me.
Oh, please do.
You're needling me a little bit. I might have to.
I hope you make Matt Kemp your home run call.
I might. We'll have to see. I'm gonna look at a couple things real quick, but I'm considering it, Tony.
Matt Kemp.
He's thinking about it, Tony.
Oh.
All right. So anything else from this game? Or are we good?
Yeah, I mean, Coors is Coors. Like,
all right, so let's move on. We got the Dodgers versus the Padres. Tony, we'll start with you. What are you thinking on this game?
Yeah, so we got two pretty good pitchers here. I mean, in a team with a bunch of offense to have under 8 total, basically, I mean, it's projected like 7.5 runs. Two good pitchers. I like the pitching more than the hitting again. It's a pitcher's park. The Dodgers are always playable just because of the upside, but I mean, I like the pitchers again more than the hitters. I hate being boring like this, but I think that's what it is. That's why a couple of those sneakier stacks in the earlier session are kind of where I'm focusing. There's a couple later teams we can look at too, but this isn't going to be one of them. I'm going to play the pitchers here.
Hey, Tony, quick. We talked about the Cubs, right? You didn't like the Cubs bats, right?
Yeah, I don't like the Cubs bats at all.
All right. And Mangone, were you the same? Did you not like the Cubs bats?
No, I mean, that wind blowing in, like I just would stay away from that spot. I just don't think it's worth it at this time.
All right. So Mangone, why don't you talk about the Dodgers Padres?
Yeah, so Dodgers Padres, just a low total. Like I said, I don't think there's a lot of really good hitting spots on this slate. Like this is another one I'm going to stay away from. Sure, the Dodgers offense is a great offense. They can go off at any time, but I think Lamet has a little more K upside than I'm kind of scared of. Maybe a guy hits a home run, on the Dodgers side, but I like other offenses that we'll get to a little later and some that I mentioned before, so I'd rather do that.
All right, that was easy and simple. I like it. Move on to Texas versus Oakland. Now, we talked about both these pitchers, so I'm assuming that you guys don't like the hitters, but Tony, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one game out of the whole slate where I'm going for sure no offense and pitchers, it's definitely this one. I mean, to be honest, like my main team tonight is probably going to have both of these pitchers because Luzardo, like I said, is the best pivot of the slate to me, even though he's not going to go super deep. I saw someone in the chat talking about it, like his pitch count. I mean, I don't think he goes 8 innings or something, but we can get 5 or 6 innings from him, maybe like 80 to 90 pitches. I'm good with that because of the K upside, and Lynn is what he is. I mean, so I definitely love these guys, and I just see no reason whatsoever to play hitters in this spot if I like both pitchers. So that's what it is.
All right, Mangone, what about you? I'm assuming it's the same thing.
Yeah, sorry, I was just making adjustments so I don't get Brogdon stuck in my lineup. Which game was you showing? The Astros game?
We were talking about the Oakland versus Texas game.
Oh, Oakland, Texas. Yeah. So I would stay away from that game. I agree with Tony, right? All the pitchers, we already talked about them. We like Jesus. We like Lynn. We should not get off them. We shouldn't be stacking against them. It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, let's move on to the next 2 games because I like some bats in those.
Yeah, well, Mangone, why don't you start us off with the Houston versus Arizona Diamondbacks? What are you liking here?
Yeah, so I think Madison Bumgarner could get shelled a bit here. I mean, we got some really good right-handed hitters that could absolutely pound Madison Bumgarner. I get it, right? Maybe not the best ballpark in the league, but these are some really good hitters. They can just churn through the lineup. So I like this Astros team a bit. I think they're a really good tournament option. If you're paying down, at pitcher, and the problem is I don't know how much I'm paying down on FanDuel. I think you could force some Astros in here and there, but Draftkings, it might be a little more difficult. Again, I'm not making the Astros a priority, but I think they're a really great tournament play. I don't know. I just don't see people stacking them up, right? I think they'd rather stack up the Rockies, and I just think this Astros stack could be a really under-owned stack that I'm going to look to.
Hold on, man. Breaking here. Malcolm Brogdon is not in the starting lineup.
No,
so
I just – are you sure?
I don't see him.
I have Brogdon, Holiday, Warren,
and
Turner.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're going to really get chaos going if you tell us Brogdon's out now, too.
No, someone in the chat said Brogdon out or something. Brogdon is not
No,
out.
Mangone said that, but he was talking about something different.
No. I was reading the chat, and someone said Brogdon out, I thought. Okay, never mind.
That would really derail the show in a hurry, though. Brogdon's out, too.
We were about to pause the show for a second.
We'll come back in about 10 minutes.
If you are NBA looking for Jimmy Butler advice after we finish this last game, we'll hit on that. I'll talk about that.
More people are going to be watching for the NBA right now, anyways, because baseball's still got a little time with all this news.
Yeah, but let's finish it, Tony. Houston versus Arizona. Yeah. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, so Bumgarner's been a guy we've targeted a little bit for hitters just because we don't love him. He's held up decent so far, but Houston's always going to be a team I target. In Arizona, the roof's closed tonight. I don't think it's like the same park as it used to be, but you look at this team, Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Gurriel, Correa, 1 through 5, very strong. After that, it drops off a little for me, which I always talk about this on the shows, but I want to be able to stack the bottom. Even if I don't do it and I play the chalky guys, I still want to like the bottom to turn that lineup over. With Houston tonight, man, I don't like these bottom dudes. Reddick and Tucker, Kyle Tucker's terrible against lefties. Maldonado's not that good. Toro is fine. Toro's 2,300 though, which is nice because you can use the savings tonight. It goes a long way towards pitching. So I do like that. You could play 4 of the stud guys with Toro just to get that savings. But, Houston, the prices are way up on DK too, to where it's tough to get the pitchers in. It's definitely my favorite stack of the night session, like the later games. But I don't think I like it as much as Miami or Atlanta or Toronto. So I think I'd rank them a little bit further down, but they need to be on your list at least, Houston.
Yeah, right. And Mangone, you liked this game as well, right?
Yeah, listen, I liked Houston, and I like the Angels a bit. This Angels team could just absolutely crush. So I think it's a really good bounce back spot. It's Mike Trout's first game back too. It's got to be good mojo, right, Big T? Trout's back in the line. You got your best player back. They're all going to rally around him, right? Big T, if you got hurt, in the basketball game I played with you, I'd be down. But if you showed back up out of nowhere, from an injury, I'd be rallied. I'd be pumped. I'd probably hit a layup and I'd hit a 3-pointer while I was at it. That's how excited I'd be.
I like that. I like the sound of that. JSU with his stupid picture behind him. Look at this guy's picture behind him.
Look at that shot, by the way, people. If you don't know what that shot, that was the game-winning shot that sent Big T and his whole team home
crying. Look at that backboard in the picture, too. It's a wood backboard with a double rim. That's high-quality court right there. Mangone, you got an excuse. Look at that rim back there. That's unacceptable.
That was the worst rim in the world. That was the double rims. It was a disaster.
The only rim worse was the outdoor one from the year before. It was the second worst one ever.
That was definitely bad. I will say though, this shot right here was a pretty big moment for me. It was really good because I think I really. That was the first time when Big T finally realized that he got owned by JSU. Before he always thinks he owns me in everything. He thinks, oh yeah, you can't beat me in anything, blah, blah, blah. I finally beat him in something. And he knew it too. He walked right off the court as I yelled at him, and it was fine. But what a time. What a great day. Great day.
What a great day.
So gross. That was not a fun day.
So let's hit on this last game, and then I'm going to quickly talk about the Jimmy Butler news. So let's hit on this last game, and then we'll talk about it. So we've got the Angels versus the Mariners. Another game where we talked about Heaney as a pitcher. So I'm assuming maybe some Angels, but no Seattle bats unless someone has a different take. Tony?
Yeah, Seattle's been a little bit better than people thought on offense. Some of these later teams just get no ownership too, which on a night like this, I honestly don't love offense in a lot of spots. So I want to get contrarian tonight. I don't want to just nights like this, I think, are the worst Coors nights. Like how Mangone said he loves it. I just, as a tournament player, I think these are the worst Coors nights because there's not really anywhere to go. So everyone kind of just plays Coors, and then you get them all 30, 40% owned. And I just hate that. I'd rather play Seattle even at just an unowned, to where if they just pound the ball, it's baseball. So many times we see these teams just go off in weird spots. And I don't mind this lineup. You look at a few of these guys, Kyle Lewis, Austin Nola, Evan White. I mean, there's some guys in there that are going to be 1% owned, and who knows? I mean, it's just a low-owned spot, similar to the Toronto spot that I like Haney, but Haney's got hit hard plenty of times. So I'm okay with Seattle, and I think you have to be okay with the Angels. I mean, it's a good spot, good lineup, tons of upside on a slate where there's just not a ton of upside. So I talked about this Dunn when we talked about pitchers, but it was just because he was so cheap. It's not that I love the spot. I don't think he's great by any means, but I do kind of, as far as the late game, I mean, this is the only 10 o'clock game. The other one started at 9, it looks like. I could make a case for some offense in this one. And honestly, with all the pitching on this slate, I could see this being the type of slate where there's just not much out there. And you're like, man, I wish I had a few late bats. And then you're just sitting good, and you just got those late bats waiting in the hole as everyone busts early. There's something to be said for that. So I definitely have some interest in this late game.
Mangone, do you have a different take on this game, or are you in agreement with Tony?
He's talking on mute now.
Sorry, I'm talking on mute. I'm trying to adjust so many different things. This is
Mangone, there's no excuse for you. There's zero, absolutely none. Just talk about this game real quick.
Which game is it? The Rockies game? I mean, you guys got me tilted right now. We every game. Didn't we?
Talk about the last game, the Mariners versus the Angels. Talk about this game.
I did already. I said I like the Angels. That's why I'm confused. I said I like the Angels.
Win. We never talked about this.
The chat will back me up. I literally said
an hour ago when we talked about pitchers?
No,
the
time
chat
out.
will do no such thing.
Yes, they will. I said I like the Angels. Are you kidding me? I said I like the Angels. It's a good spot for this offense. I said Mike Trout is back. And that's always good. I said it's good for his mojo to get the best player back. And then I brought the Big T reference of having our best player back in basketball. I definitely said it. DeGriff isn't with me. That's why I'm very confused at what's going on.
All right. Mangone is so full of it right now. It's not even.
I'm not. The chat's got my back.
He's just trying to adjust his. He's just trying to adjust his NBA lineups, and it's fine. All he had to say was, "Oh, my bad. I was trying to adjust my NBA lineups." Let me speak on it.
I would bet all the money on this slate that I played that I said it. But okay.
All right. Well, we need 7 more likes to get to 100 guys. We got 233 people in the chat. I'm about to talk about the Jimmy Butler news and how I would process this news. Hit that like button. Come on, we got to get to at least 100. There's 234 people in here. Tony, I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, we say it every show, 234. I always like to think that you can get half of them. So if we're at 234, there needs to be 17 likes. I mean, you always got to get. It's always got to be half of the number, because some people are watching on their phone and they don't have like different things going on, but it's got to be halfway home.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep hitting that like button,
Jimmy
guys.
Butler news. The people want to know what the 100K man is doing with Jimmy Butler news.
All right. I mean, so this is my process, and I think first of all, if you read my write-up, then you know that I was on 3 games mainly I was heavy on, and it was the the Clippers game, Phoenix, which already started, obviously. And then after that, it was the Orlando Indy game as a sneaky pivot, which hasn't started yet. And the late game, obviously. But there are Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler. We talked about Jimmy Butler as a cheap play. So I do have a few lineups with Jimmy. Now this makes me kind of like the Miami team as a whole. So with Jimmy Butler out, the first thing I want to do is I want to try and get Bam in. Bam becomes to me, and yeah, the Celtics are a tough team, but Bam becomes to me a really strong play. I don't think people are going to actually pivot in their lineups where they're going to move that much money around, because obviously Bam and Jimmy play different positions. So you got to kind of change things up, especially on FanDuel. But it just makes me really like him. I think Tyler Hero, he was already in play at 3,100 or whatever he was. Now he's definitely in play. Duncan Robinson, I don't love that his price is 5,300, but on DraftKings, I think he's in play. I think Jay Crowder becomes probably, to me, Jay Crowder and Dragic are on DraftKings two of my favorite like cheaper plays that aren't like the complete punt like Tyler Hero. So it'd be Dragic for me. If you couldn't get the Bam would be 1, Dragic would be 2, Crowder would be 3, and if you needed a punt, because that punt will open up your lineup to get like Dame and Westbrook together, then do that. Like totally fine with that. I like that strategy too. But that's how I would rank them. I think Goran gets the ball a little more. He might see a few extra minutes, but it's more just when he's on the floor, he's going to have the ball in his hands even more, pretty much the entire time, I would say. And then Bam's just going to – he can run some of the offense. Like he gets the ball at the top sometimes, and he can initiate and make plays. And that's why I like Bam, because he does a little of everything. He gets steals, blocks, rebounds, assists, scores. And he's the main guy now. So that's the way I'm processing it. So again, Bam is the guy that I'm going to actually try and pivot my lineups to, because again, most people aren't going to do it. We've got like 9 minutes until the Orlando game starts. A lot of people's lineups have already, locked a few guys. So, I mean, I think it's actually a really sharp move to pivot to someone like Bam if you can find the way to do it. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, I can talk about it from just a different angle, just because I locked so many value guys this morning, and I locked I had a bunch of Hero anyways, because he was kind of in my value bucket. I needed the just stone men type plays, and he kind of fit in there. But it makes it tough for me just because I got a ton of stars in the late game, obviously, like everyone does. I had a ton of Luka. Basically, I just went stars and scrubs. But so Jimmy Butler didn't affect. I think I only had him on 2 of my 20 teams. But man, it just opens up, like you guys said, where it makes me a lot more interested pivoting maybe my star and scrub into that middle. Like even a guy like Tatum, I think, was going to be super low owned. That Jimmy was going to guard Tatum for the most part. He could have guarded a few here and there, but for the most part, he would have guarded Tatum. Now no one really guards Tatum. Coming off a big game, no one's going to play him. Like an example, I mean, maybe not the exact prices, but you can play like Tatum and Bam over Harden and whatever the price that lines up with it, the 5K or whatever the price is. I don't have the exact pivot right there, but so that's kind of where I weigh it. And guys like Nurkic, like what do we think about pivoting like in that mid range? Like Mangone, what do you think about that mid range? Like, do you guys like Nurkic in this matchup tonight with Houston going small?
Yeah. So I like Nurkic. I'm telling the NBA chat, we're getting in there real quick. We are talking NBA right now on the show. Okay, I just want to let the people know on our Discord.
Yeah, I added everyone. Let them know
okay,
too.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just doing that, and you caught me while I was doing that. But I want to say the point you made with Bam that I thought was really good, JSU, is Bam is a good pivot to get up to. He's not the easiest to get to. And on top of that, some people played, they may have played DeAndre Ayton at center, right? He was a guy that had some ownership. People may have played Robin Lopez, and they might have locked themselves out, right, of the center position. And there just could be ways they might be like, I don't want to get rid of Westbrook, and I have too many guards now, so I can't play the center. So that's why Bam could be lower owned. I think Hero is the best option, I guess I would say, of like value. He's a guy I would definitely want to get in. And like one pivot I made was I just basically changed Brogdon and Westbrook to Hero and Harden. I just think Hero and Harden's a better route to go. So I just went over to that real quick on DK. I made another adjustment with another guy, but that was like the big one that I think is a common swap that people can be making.
Like, I don't think you could have a better 2-man combo than that, like no matter who the 2 is. As far as right now, the rest of the night, if you can get Harden and Hero, I wouldn't take any 2 guys over those 2. As far as that exact price, whatever that price equals. What, 14-2 or 14-4, whatever it is?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And like, don't sleep on Kelly Olynyk. He's been crushing in the bubble. We've seen these dudes who are crushing. He's 3,800. Like, don't sleep on that as an option to go to now. I mean, he's been absolutely lights out. Look at those stats that he's had, and he's been getting more minutes. And it's a little revenge spot against the Celtics. Same with Jay Crowder. Like, he's going to be, he loves playing the Celtics. He licks his chops against those. So, and I think, like I said, like Dragic, I don't mind him. The one is Brogdon versus Dragic. I'd probably lean Dragic, but I don't know, JSU, what do you think on Brogdon versus Dragic? I think that's one I don't have a great grasp on.
Yeah, Brogdon versus Dragic. That's interesting. So, again, I think it comes down to I don't think people are going to end up swapping Brogdon for Dragic. And Dragic was already going to be low owned as is. So I think people are going to stick. This news came really close to the game. I mean, we got 5 minutes left pretty much, right, to swap. I really don't
You guys
think
called it too, though. Like, a lot of people are locked out of having a ton of options, me included. Like, it's a tough thing to do, like pivot in those cracks.
Can I answer? So someone in the chat's asking, first of all, Derek Jones to me, I'm not going to play. They just have too many forwards they rotate. I think Crowder is a better play, and he's cheap on DK too. I know he's not as cheap as Jones, but I'm not playing Jones. But someone asked me, Nurkic, do we pivot from Nurkic to Bam? Tony brought it up. So I like them both. I think if you want like the sharper GPP large field pivot, it'd be Bam, because then you can upgrade a little bit. Maybe because the pricing difference, maybe it gives you a better 2v2. So it really depend on your 2v2. If that 2v2, like, so if you swap Nurkic out for Bam and then you went from, I don't know, from some guard in the 4,200 range to Dragic, I'd be like, yes, right? If you went from Gary Trent Jr. to Dragic, I'd be like, yes, I like that swap. That's a good 2v2 swap. I prefer the Bam one. But I'm not going to just say, oh, everyone go to Bam and get rid of Nurkic, but it depends on your swap. Or if you're behind. I think if you're behind, then it's another thing where you got to kind of catch up to the field. And if you have someone that if you played Robin Lopez and he hurt you, but you don't have a lot going until later, maybe it is something where you pivot to 2 or 3 Heat guys. They're cheap. Besides Bam, everyone else is cheap. Like, Bam and then Dragic's $5K. Like, after that, everyone's lower than that. So I think it's the way to go. That's what I'm going to do. Derek Robinson, like I said, on DK is expensive, but on FanDuel, he's 4,300. So I would look to play him over there, and I would look to play Hero on Draftkings at 3,100. So that's just the way I'm approaching it. That's the way I'm looking at it. Anything else from you guys on this?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you a 3v3 for fun. You guys want to play it out that I'm debating, and I got 2 minutes to decide on FanDuel. It's Westbrook, it's TJ Warren, and Aaron Gordon versus Damian Lillard, Jay Crowder, and Bam Adebayo. I think it's the Westbrook route, but what do you guys think?
Now you're talking on mute.
What was it, Westbrook and who?
It's
mouse didn't move over.
It's Westbrook, TJ Warren, and my power forward was Aaron Gordon versus Damian Lillard, Jay Crowder, and Bam Adebayo.
See, I think for tournaments, it's the Damian Lillard. I agree. Like Westbrook a ton, but I think the Bam way in tournaments, is that on FanDuel?
Yeah, it's on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the sharper pivot in tournaments, but I think the more optimal one, if it's cash, would be the first one for sure.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. And again, I'm just talking out scenarios. I don't know what everyone else is dealing with, but like I said, I think Harrow's like the best guy to get in. Like, I thought that swap I mentioned was like the most ideal one to be making. And I think you hit on the greatest point, JSU, of tournaments right now is Bam. I think Bam is that guy in tournaments that can really just be a massive leverage on some people right now. Again, like you're not leveraging out here with like Luka and stuff, like onto him, right? Luka already had that massive game. You want to leverage on some of those centers that struggled, like a Robin Lopez, who was like, 20 to 25% owned. So I think that makes some sense.
Yeah. Tony, anything?
No, I mean, same thing you guys were saying. It's the decisions that come up every time when we have spots like this.
Yeah, and they're definitely not easy decisions. I mean, these are tough, decisions to make, and but it makes a difference though, right? Like it's big. I mean, this is what can win you a tournament. If and it can also you at the end of the night you can say, oh, I had the winner. You know what I mean? That's just the way it goes. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Too, because of the late game you have so many stars that literally could just go for 80 in that game. I mean, there's going to be so many points that.
I mean, what about the fact that I mean, wouldn't you agree that Miami value is way better than the value we had earlier in the day?
Oh, I mean, if we would
Like,
know now, like, it would just be a slam dunk. Like Hero.
But that's my point is if you were building lineups 5 minutes ago, you would have all been trying to get heats in your lineup. You would all be trying to get these heat guys. Yeah. So in my mind, if you only have one or two guys going and you can make moves, why not?
Wow. So
not?
Kelly Olynyk is starting, by the way. I mean, obviously wow, Kelly Olynyk is starting. That's pretty big. Wow.
Yeah, that's big.
Dang. Oh man. See, I mentioned him. Like I'm telling you, like he's been so hot. I hope someone played Kelly Olynyk.
God,
you can still get him in there, but
Kelly
like
Olynyk.
It's just so hard to find that value at forward right now, though, because of all the value that's been out there. Like, and all the good guys are guards for the most part today.
Yeah, Mangone, all the value's already gone. Like they've already started.
It's really hard to fit Kelly. Like I just reran my 20 teams, and it's really hard to get. Like I tried hard to get Kelly O. Like I over projected him a little bit, and I still can only get like 14%.
Yeah, I mean, like instead of like Bam, would you go Kelly O now? I mean, have you seen how good Kelly O is? Bam. I mean, just the price. Then you could get up to all of those studs in that game. Like I'm looking at a tournament build that I have, and again, I don't know. I think Kelly O is definitely interesting. I might move off of Bam now for him and see if I can get like another big spend up. The problem is I don't know. My small forward spend up would be Tatum, and I leave 2,000. So yeah, that is. I mean, I'm running the same issues you guys are talking about now. I'm trying to figure it out.
It's hard, man, because like if we knew this to start the day, like I would have 100%. If my roster, like just say rhetorically, I had all late guys somehow, I would lock Kelly O and Hero for sure. Like 100%, I would lock them. 3,100 and 3,800 or whatever it is. And I would just play the stars. Like it's so cut and dry for me. But when you already have people locked, it's a lot more complicated.
This does feel though somewhat like people might fall into the Kelly O trap. Like I mean,
he's been so good though.
But Mangone, he does well when he comes off the bench, and then he starts and he underperforms. It's like the classic case of a lot of people.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It could get a little small where they just kind of go to one big. So you're not wrong. That's why, like, I'm debating. Like, one thing I just debated straight up was Jay Crowder or Kelly O. I think Crowder's probably safer though, just because I don't think he gets played out of the game as much as Kelly O could get played out of the game. You're definitely right about that.
Easily.
Again, because Boston plays small, so 100% they could play Iguodala, Crowder, Hero, Duncan Robinson, Goran Dragic. Think about it. Like they have so many different Derrick Jones Jr. They have ways to get their lineup. They don't need Kelly O to play big minutes. Like he is not a must. He's not a necessity. So, I mean, man, that just threw a wrench into everything. But I like that. That's the fun part about DFS. Like,
I don't like it as much when I had all the early guys.
Yeah, I like it when I got all the backloaded, man. Then I can just I got the edge on everyone.
Like how bad does Trey Burke look right now? Like he looks so bad.
God. I'll tell you who doesn't look bad is Devin Booker in your lineups right now. If you play Devin Booker, you're feeling good right now. He's got 41 FanDuel points, and they still got like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Phoenix is up, so. Hopefully Ayton can keep going. But I mean, guys, I think we pretty much hit on everything. Why don't we give the people, our favorite stack and, maybe our favorite one-offs or a home run call, and we'll call it a show. Big T, why don't we start with you? Favorite stack?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with Miami for my favorite stack. And I'm slightly annoyed and happy, if that makes any sense, that there's no lineup. So it's annoying because I kind of want to know what it is, because if it's a bad lineup, I'm not going to play it. And by bad, I mean not those guys I talked about earlier in the show. But if I do get the lineup, I like it because no one's going to play it. It's not out. It's going to be super low owned. After that, I think I would rank it Atlanta in that Toronto game. So those would be my three that I'm targeting.
All right, Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I like Coors and I like the Rocky side. That's my favorite. Like, if I was playing, like, honestly, that's my main one I'm going to stack up. But listen, let's not just say them, right? That's kind of lame. Let's look for another off the board stack. I will say I like mixing in some Nationals. I think they're good, but man, like I don't know. I think this Astros or Angels stack I really think is super intriguing overall. So Yeah, I'm gonna side with the Astros stack. I think the Astros can really get this thing done here.
What about your Angels that you talked about 4 times?
I love it, man. I'm telling you, roll back the tape, Tony. I would bet anything on it. Just like you want to roll back the tape on, some people, bricking threes in our tournament and you just crushing and doing pretty well in basketball. Roll back the tape, man. I talked about the Angels. I like them.
I'll say this though, if you did talk about them, you went to a completely different game that JSU didn't even talk about.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. He went to a different game. For me, I think for GPPs, I think Toronto seems the most interesting to me. So I'm definitely going to have a Toronto stack. But guys, let's talk home run calls, and we'll pick a winner for we got over, our we got 124 likes. So we're going to pick a winner for some RPS swag after that. But Mangone, we'll start with you. Home run call. Give it to me.
Is it one call or is it two? How many are we giving here, JC?
Give me your favorite. Give me your favorite call, and then someone like low owned.
Okay. Well, my low owned one is going to be. I don't even know if he's low owned. I mean, he's in cores, but I'm definitely giving you Matt Kemp. I'm no doubt giving you Matt Kemp here. He might not be low owned, but I'm giving you Matt Kemp, Tony.
You like Matt Kemp? I tell you,
I looked at him before. I think he's a really good.
Imagine playing Matt Kemp chalk in the year 2020.
I think he's a solid option, Tony. I hope he hits 20 yards today.
He's 48 years old and can't hit.
Well, we'll have to see. Well, hopefully he proves you wrong tonight. I'm also going to give you Howie Kendrick. I think Howie Kendrick's in a pretty good spot to bang one out. We'll go with some more old dudes, Tony. So that's 2 old dudes. I'll give you one more old guy. Let me see if I can find one more old guy on the list to throw in here.
Take like Daniel Murphy, too. Get you 2 Coors bats. Get 2 Grampies in there.
You know what is... Let's go with this. We'll go with him. We'll go with I don't know if he's a Grampy. He feels old enough, man. Justin Upton. I'll go with Justin Upton in that Angels lineup. A bunch of old dusty dudes. That's how we'll approach this slate. But you guys know I'm gonna load up on cores today. I like this Rocky spot a ton. That's definitely my favorite stack.
Yeah, we all knew that before the show, Mangone. Thank you. So for me, I'm going to my guy, Teoscar Hernandez, my boy. Doesn't let me down. That guy smashes. I'm going with him. That's my home run call today. But I think that's about it, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to
give my home runs? I'm not allowed?
You didn't give your home runs?
No, I'm not allowed to pick them?
Wow. All right, my bad. My bad, chat. All right, Tony, give us your home run calls.
I mean, for my high price guy, I got to go with Free Money Freeman. He's going to hit one. And then just because Mangone picked a total bum in his picks, I'm going to go with the total bum in my picks. I'm going to give 2 total bums in my picks, and I hope they end up freaking in the lineup because Miami, 2 just total shithole hitters. Sean Rodriguez and Luis Brinson, 2 total garbage guys, back-to-back bombs. Please be in the lineup, Miami. Don't not be in the lineup on me.
All right, I like it. So let's, Tony, why don't you scroll up and pick a winner before we get out of here for this swag?
Let's do it.
Don't pick someone who's already won, like it happened this morning.
Let's see here. We got Redmond 130. Is he won?
Redmond 130. Is that who you got? Redmond 130. You just won some RPS swag. So hit up if you're in the Discord. Hit up Big T and he'll get that stuff sent out to you, or hit him up on Twitter at BigT44 and he'll get that to you. But guys, again, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. I might be back on later with the Run Pure Bets guys. I think we're going live at 7 for some NBA live betting, watching the games. So check that out. Check out Run Pure Bets. If you haven't checked out Run Pure Bets, get over there. Check it out. It's they've been crushing. I mean, Tony, talk real quick about Run Pure Bets because you've been crushing too.
Yeah, it's been a good run for sure. Mangone's been picking some winners too. I think yesterday we were 11-2 as a group. I was 4-1. It's been fun to pick some winners. I got a bunch of stuff up there tonight. I put a bunch of props up in honor of Mangone.
I got a prop in there too, Tony. I don't know if you just blindly didn't look and played the same one as me. That'd be nice if we had the same one.
Actually, I do have the same one as you. That's one that we both got in there. I mean, I got a lot more plays. I got a ton of stuff up there, but we got the same prop. That one's going to win for sure.
Yeah, is this like a 2-unit whale winner right here? Is this the whale play of the site? We got 2 units on
like
it.
that one's gonna win for sure. But I mean, we got everybody should check out the bet side. It's been incredible. We just opened a week ago or so, and everything's gone good. I mean, we're up a bunch of units. They're gonna go on live later tonight. Check it out. It's been fun. I like that side of things. I like getting in there and grinding that a little bit. So it's fun to mess around with for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna be back on later with those guys. So
You're
go
doing
over check it out.
today?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm on there too, by the way. I'm joining as well. We're all hanging out.
I gotta go hang out with Mangone.
Yeah, man. Jay,
second time.
I'll see you in like 50 minutes. Jay called me in. He said, I need your arm tonight. So I'll be in there throwing the ball around.
All right. Mangone and me are pinch hitting over there. So get over there, check us out. We'll be over there around 7-ish. We'll retweet the link too, so you guys know where to go. So, on Twitter. But again, guys, we appreciate hanging out. For me, JSU, Big T, Mangone.